They come the other way, up by 2 and approaching 4 to play. The winner secures a playoff slot and a date with Memphis. Edwards, hold on!
Oh my goodness. Anthony Edwards is starting to grow up.
To the average NBA fan, this claim may seem crazy at face value, but Anthony Edwards, who is currently 21 years of age, he is the next face of the NBA. He hasn't even won a single playoff series yet. However, there are still a lot of things working in his favor that point to the possibility, no, not the possibility, I'm not asking, I'm saying, he is going to become the NBA's next premier star. Now in this video, if you couldn't already tell by the title, by the thumbnail, those beautiful things, we're talking about Anthony Edwards and his prospect, his chance, whatever you want to call it, to be the next face of the NBA. Now, personally, I got him as the next face of the NBA, and in this video, we're going to talk about those reasons why he's the next face and why he's going to surpass some of the other players that may be the face of the NBA, like Luka, Giannis, Ja Morant, other people like that. But before we get into this video, like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. If you're not new, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate having you here, and let's get it. A position, title, whatever you want to call it, once, I guess you could say, tailor-made for Ja Morant, who pretty much squandered it in the last year or so. Anthony Edwards, who is a personable figure, an excellent hooper with his superstar charisma and personality. He has everything about what the face of the NBA is, was, and always has been. Now, first off, Anthony Edwards possesses one of the most important factors that the NBA looks for when trying to market players. Besides his superstar potential and play, that personality is massive. Edwards was drafted first overall in 2020, so obviously he hasn't been in the league very long. It's just been 3 years going on 4, but his charisma, it's instantly helped him to enter the conversation for most likable player in the NBA. Now, most of us already know he has had moments where he's had to mature, but one thing that we've seen out of Anthony Edwards that we frankly haven't seen out of Ja Morant is the ability to learn from his mistakes, his actions, and understanding that despite being young, you still have a lot of people counting on you, and your decisions affect others more than they affect you. Now, Anthony Edwards, he already has countless quotable moments and interviews that I love watching just to watch. Some, like when he bragged about going pro in any sport, when he said if you play baseball or golf, he liked that. Like that was dope. That's one of my favorite interviews, I'm not gonna lie. One of my favorite quotes though, and this one, it might just be true. One of those quotes that some may see it as confidence, but I see it as, nah, he's right. And he told his coach, Chris Finch, don't let me get to 6'6" or I'm gonna be Michael Jordan. And I'm gonna tell y'all this now, he might just be him now. And unfortunately, personality alone isn't enough to make a player the face of the NBA. And if this were the case, then shit, Boban might have been the face of the league for a couple years. But instead, obviously, a player has to possess the right blend of talent, work ethic, and personality to ascend to the top of the NBA's pecking order. And luckily for Ant-Man, he already has a nice mix of those things, along with an excellent nickname. Ant-Man that's a dope nickname. Now, so far in his young career, Anthony Edwards is at a record-setting pace. He set the record for most made threes ever by a player before age 21 at 386, which is 74 made threes above the second place stars such as LeBron, KD, Jason Tatum, Devin Booker. Yeah, some of the greats that we've seen in the past decade or so. In a league that is hyper-focused on high-volume three-point shooting, Edwards' elite shooting ability bodes well for his future, especially for a guy who wasn't heralded as the best shooter coming into the league. At 2,925 career regular season points, Ant-Man also has the 4th most points scored by a player before 21. This puts him only behind LeBron James, KD, and Melo, 3 of the top wing scorers of all time. And I know this is some crazy glazing right now, but Anthony Edwards also stepped up in his first ever playoff series versus the Grizzlies and looked like the real deal. His scoring average went to 25.2 points per game on amazing efficiency, where he shot 45, 40, and 82 shooting splits over 6 playoff games. And obviously that's a small sample size, but he's currently the second all-time in playoff three-pointers per game at 3.8. And the only player to average more than that is Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter ever. Now that sounds crazy at first, but when you match that with his efficiency, that's crazy. Anthony Edwards is one of the most confident, if not the most confident player in the league and his game has benefited from it. He carries himself like a star on the court. He's as fearless as any player we've seen. Just look at the time when he told Steph, I might go for 50 tonight. And this was year 2 that he did that. He's not afraid of the big shot, and not to mention his elite athleticism, it leads him to pull off some of the craziest dunks that we've seen in a minute. All of that combined with the fact that wing players have been dominating the league for the past decade, plus it's working in Anthony Edwards' favor. Now, even with everything Anthony Edwards has going for himself, he's still far from a lock to become the future face of the league. Now, in my opinion, he is that lock, but to everybody, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, so obviously he's not that locked. Now, assuming the current face of the league is still LeBron James or Steph Curry, then Anthony Edwards, he's gonna have a lot of competition in the future, because currently some of the most notable stars that could be faces are Giannis and Luka. One is 29, the other is 23, 24 respectively, and they already have much more accomplished than Anthony Edwards. But now, to respond to that, I say this pretty reluctantly because it feels icky to say, but let me land. I don't think a European player will ever be the face of the league, strictly because the main source and the main people that watch the league, they're not gonna be so personable with that person. It's a different culture, and it's a different kind of personality that you kind of have to learn. Giannis is already an NBA champion, MVP, a 6-time All-Star, a 2-time regular season MVP, about to be 3-time, a DPOY, and a 4-time All-NBA first team member, among other accomplishments. Luka is already a 3-time All-Star, a 3-time All-NBA first teamer, 28 career playoff games. He's second all time in playoff points per game, which only puts him behind MJ. And then both him and Giannis possess the same level of superstar charisma that Ant-Man has as well. The only difference is their international background, and I think that actually gives Anthony Edwards the boost. Essentially what I'm saying is, while these are all-time players and they will be all-time greats come that time, Anthony Edwards will forever be a person that the masses that watch the NBA will be able to relate to. He's an Atlanta dude. We know Atlanta culture. We know American culture more than we know any other culture. And that's the basis of why I believe that Anthony Edwards has a leg up on some of the more international players that may be A, better than him, and B, more accomplished than him. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So simply put, though it'll be difficult for Ant-Man to surpass one day, those two are becoming the premier face of the league. Now, the other stars that he'll have to compete with, Jason Tatum and Ja Morant. Now, with Ja Morant, like I said at the top of this video, I think he squandered that by himself. He was tailor-made to be the face of the league. He has the look, the locks, the teeth, the everything, the tats, all the whole 9 yards that makes high schoolers, middle school kids love the game of basketball. You see him grittying across the court, you see him celebrating, all those things. But now when you're playing a gun, you're waving a gun in the camera and all those other stuff, you're not gonna be marketed like that. And Ja, though he does have an opportunity to get shake back and get there, he's working from behind now when he already had the leg up on the rest. Jason Tatum, I don't think he could be the face of the league, though I like Jason Tatum, though I think he's a very, very good player. He's a guy that doesn't strike me as someone that wants the attention on him. He wants to credit everyone else. And that's not to say that Anthony Edwards or Ja Morant or whomever else is an attention whore. It's not that. I just think with Jason Tatum, when he talks to people or someone, compliments him or whatever, from what I've seen, he tends to deflect and push it away in terms of supporting other people. Or when he talks about him and his accomplishments, a lot of times he brings up his son and all the other factors that, make him appreciate life. So with that being said, I think Jason Tatum he wouldn't fill in that role just on his own accord. He would be fine being a superstar and just continue going along like that. Now, personally, I got Anthony Edwards as a clear face of the NBA, bro. Quickly become my favorite player, even over Jason Tatum, who was my favorite player for the past 4 or 5 years or so. And Anthony Edwards is one of the few guys in the league that I can tell he is authentically himself 24/7, 365. There's no other way to see Anthony Edwards. And overall, it seems pretty clear to me that he possesses everything else with regard to his skill, talent, and work ethic required to potentially develop into the future face of the NBA. Unfortunately, he isn't the only young player who does, and unfortunately it is a very young NBA that is full to the brim of young talent that continues to establish themselves season by season. But As of right now, it's hard to bet against players like Luka and Giannis sitting at the top of the league for the next decade. Like I said, I know a lot of people that they're big fans of Luka and Giannis, so I don't want to stop at the culture aspect with regard to them being international players as them not being the face, but it is a real reality that is there with regard to the face of the NBA. Now, if Anthony Edwards even wants to enter this discussion, he'll not only have to have a breakout season, which he's going to do this year, but he's going to need to start leading the Timberwolves to some much needed playoff success. Now, I feel like that's more of a team thing, but in the grand scheme of things with basketball and its fan base, playoff success normally falls on the shoulders of the star, not necessarily team, despite us knowing that is a team accomplishment. So all things considered, I think it's very, very likely Anthony Edwards ever ends up the sole face of the NBA. Nonetheless, though, we certainly can't count out someone who calls himself the most confident person in the world with the most confidence in the world as he's saying it. But that's all I got for you guys in this one. Let me know what you guys think about Anthony Edwards below. I know he's gained a lot of traction, a lot of following in that over the last summer or so, but let me know if you guys think he'll actually reach the face of the league and where you think he'll end up going, because I think at some point he's gonna have to leave Memphis, not because he's forced to, but more so for playoff success and money outside the NBA. But that's all I got for you guys in this one. It's your boy TB with the greatest hoop stories and debates on the tube, and until next time, I am out. Peace.